what he was telling us. And he said, listen, guys, imagine a high-level feature film with full sound design, full orchestral score, maybe mixing in Dolby Atmos, but just without the picture. And we both thought, hey, that's interesting.
It is a joy today to be talking with Misha Crosby and John Mawson, the team behind Unsinkable. Thank you so much to both of you for the time. I appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
Yeah,
It,
thanks for
it
having us, Steve.
I honestly, it is a privilege to speak with you both because this is a fascinating project and it's really well done. Unsinkable is an audio movie, as it calls itself, or audio series, audio movie, because I know it's broken into 11 parts.
Audio
Um,
movie series is
Audio
been
movie
describing
series.
it.
Um, what in your mind? What excited you both to bring this project to light? I'm looking forward to talking to you more about the project itself. But what was it that made you excited to bring Unsinkable?
Well, my background is I was in the Merchant Marine. I was a deck officer, qualified ships captain for many years. So I knew this story. It was kind of built into our DNA.
Hmm.
And when I hung up my various suits and retrained as an actor, and then moved out here, one of the things that bubbled up in me was wanting to tell this story. And I wrote a movie version, a full movie screenplay back in about 2000, 2012. I expanded it into a TV series because there's so much story to tell, particularly bringing in the court case that happened afterwards. And so there it was. It was already there. And then Misha and I, we've worked together on several other projects and on all sorts of movies and so forth, short films and long films. And then the catalyst was a guy called Jack Bowman from Audio Marbles in the UK. A friend of mine, he came over here to be on a panel about podcasting and audio, and we met up. And he read this screenplay version, and he said, "Have you ever thought about doing it as an audio movie?" And we didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, we looked at each other and we're like, what the hell is an audio movie? And we, at that point, tried to figure out what he was telling us. And he said, listen, guys, imagine a high-level feature film with full sound design, full orchestral score, maybe mixing in Dolby Atmos, but just without the picture. And we both thought, hey, that's interesting. Now, John had come to me with a very fine screenplay of his called The San Demetrio that was written as a feature film, but a little thing called COVID-19 had come along and put the brakes on moving that forward. And so when Jack had mentioned that this could work really well as an audio movie, we were very intrigued about exploring it. And so we actually went away and John rewrote that feature film into 11 episodes, each with their own self-sustaining arcs, of which he had some help and some guidance from myself and Jack and a team in London led by Andrew Mark Schull from B7 Media, who'd done a lot of audio before. And once those scripts had been rewritten for the ear, we then went about thinking about casting it. We went about that in the same way, we put together any other movie and had our lists of who we wanted and systematically prepared ourselves for pain and suffering.
Well, and that's one of the things that's most remarkable of this too. I mean, you've got some incredible work from your cast, and I mean, Brian Cox, John Malkovich. These are not no-name actors who are B level, if you will. These are top tier talent. Uh, how did they get on board? What was their response when you said, "Hey, guys, we want you to be in this film, but no one's going to see it."
Hmm. Well, listen, when we approached different reps along the way, listen, some of the actors in this we know very well. We've been in Los Angeles for quite a significant amount of time. Some, we didn't have connections with, and certainly when you're approaching somebody like Brian or Malkovich, you want to go to them with a project that you hope they're going to connect with. They don't need to do a project for the sake of doing a project, right? And so, um, with Brian specifically, I remember when we started talking to his agent, she was like, "Listen, Misha, he'll read this very quickly and let you know." And sure enough, he was on a plane. I think he was flying back to the UK within 24 hours, Brian's in. And I remember I called John, and it's an amazing thing hearing a grown man's voice go up about 4 octaves as he ascended onto a table. And that's what happened. It was a really big, it's a big get for us, and no, we were absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, Harry Hamlin is a friend of mine. We've worked together on some stuff, and he knew about my writing. He knew about I'd workshop some of this stuff, and he'd seen it, and he was happy with it. So when I called him up and asked him if he wanted to be in, he was, "Yep, fine, no problem at all." So
how did you pitch it to him, though, Joe?
oh, okay. I said there's a character here that I'm thinking of casting, and he's a guy with absolutely no redeeming features whatsoever. He's an alcoholic. He is cowardly. He whines. He moans. He's always on the wrong side of everything. And I instantly thought of you, Harry. And he just laughed and said, "You tell me where and when, and I'll be there." And he just that's what he did. And he came in, and he absolutely killed it. He got the guy, and he was fearless in his creation of this really unpleasant guy.
Yeah.
To answer a bit more of your question, when Brian came in into the studio, we said to him, what made you sign on? What made you want to do this? And he was kind enough to say he absolutely loved the script. He was fascinated by the story. He, as a Brit of that age, a Scots guy of that age, he obviously knew a lot about World War II, but that had faded a bit. And he also loved being the character of, as someone who's playing, a pretty evil guy in Succession, to play what is effectively the moral core of the story, a really, really nice guy. I think he felt as a bit of a relief.
Yeah, he talked a lot about honor and being a time of honor then, and his character certainly has it flowing through his veins in this.
They are great characters, and I will say this. I let my 14-year-old hear it, and
Yeah.
he was blown away. The sound quality on this is just remarkable. Like we live in, let's be serious, we live in a podcast age where we can record and anybody can record and put it. This sounds incredible. Just across the board. What challenges were there facing for you to bring such a strong sound quality to life? I challenged him. I'll just go back to my son for a minute. I told him, I said, close your eyes for a minute, and you could see it just took him out onto the high seas for a few minutes, and it's pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's music to our ears, because I'm just listening. There was a lot of work that went into trying to achieve the sound that we put out, and it wasn't just from us. It was it took a whole team of people to at least be able to achieve something like this with humans. It takes a lot, and it's a mixture of great talent from an acting perspective. It's a mixture of people that understand the specificity of timing and moments when you're going through the editing process of that dialogue initially, and then it's people that can understand when you try and portray a vision that's not only there on the script, but then add to that with the drama that's on the page and the feel of that, with its sound design, with its atmosphere, and then again with the orchestral score as well. I mean, when you look at what we have here, we've got about 100 different roles in this. So you've got those tracks in the timeline. Then you go in and you look at maybe all of the different sound effects and atmospheres that are in there as well. And then you look at Stephen and Sam's composition, where you've got, your strings, your violin 1, your violin 2, your cellos, your brass, your percussion. The thing's probably hundreds of tracks deep by the time you get it whittled down and mixed down into that single WAV file or single Atmos file at the end.
And we aimed high on the production side, as high as we did on the casting side. We wanted the best sound mix that we could get, and we listened to a lot of sound, we listened to a lot of shows, and it was Band of Brothers that jumped out at us. So the sound quality on that show is really, really good. And of course, and Ginny Boyle and his team, they did the Band of Brothers, and we looked at his other work, and he's done James Bond, he's done Wonder Woman, amazing work. And of course, we knew he would have an amazing World War II sound library, which of course he does. So his work and his team's work was astonishing. And he'd call me up sometimes or WhatsApp me and say, what gun have they got on that ship there? And I'd go, well, it's a 5-inch. And he'd go, right, got one of those. And what does the ship's whistle sound like? And I would find something similar, maybe from off a YouTube video or something, and send it back to him and say, that's what the whistle should sound like. So he was very specific about that. And then the music, Stephen Endelman's score, we wanted a really epic score, a David Lean size score. And and I knew that Stephen was the guy to deliver that, and he absolutely did. And he created themes for each of the ships and from the main characters. So quite often you may not even know, you may not even notice that you're being drawn towards where you are and who you're with by the music.
Yeah.
Forgive my naivety on this one. I was just wondering, like, because of the nature of this sort of recording, did you have the cast recording together at all, or was it more individual? No, it was all individual.
If only, Steve, that had been a possibility. Although we've talked about this a little bit over some of these interviews. We didn't have the option at the time, right? Because of the restrictions of COVID.
Right.
We had to have pretty much everyone recorded individually, animation style. And they've done that in animation for a while. Each record those individual performances and then piece it back together. Now that presents some benefits in the specificity and the intention you give just with one actor and one performance as we're directing. But it also has its difficulties too, right? Because you're not getting the other performance there in the room. And so what it meant is very, very specifically, and I worked a lot with the actors on, the emotional intention and specificity of those performances. We had to be really precise there in the energy levels and what they were offering and how that was going to work with the other side of it. Because if that's off, you don't have a living, breathing thing. And so
I could give them the environment. I could say, this is how noisy it is here. This is how much sea noise you're going to get. This is how you're in a metal box. You're 30 feet up. You're walking on wood, not metal. So I could give them the environment and give them the feel for where they were. And as Misha says, he could then really focus on, is this performance appropriate and believable and honest and all those other sides of it. So that's how we did that. Well, and we would read readers, and that gave us the ability, because we knew the story and the locations and everything that's going on so well. If we're reading the other roles, we were able to create that environment for them.
Yeah, which, by the way, we learned that if an actor says, hey, I'm not sure I need a reader on this, don't listen to them. Give them a reader.
Well, I think that's a testament to the performances then, quite frankly, because that's the reason I ask is because they sound like they're engaging each other well. It doesn't sound like one person speaking and then another person speaking and cut together. The way that it's woven together, it actually feels like they're in the environment together, like they're engaging. So I thought that was very impressive.
Thank you. It's what we were trying for.
And it comes across. And I know that, of course, this is a true story. I was wondering for you both, like, what sort of research were you able to do? I know, John, you've been a ship captain. You said the story is sort of embedded in your DNA, but what sort of research were you able to do to bring the story to life?
Everything I could. I mean, I obviously, when I was writing the original movie screenplay, I researched the crap out of it, everything I could find. And everything that happens on that ship and everything that happens in the courtroom is historically accurate. There's nothing that happens on that ship that didn't happen. And then, of course, I created the characters around them and how they interact and so forth. That's within my mind, my creation. But I wanted it to be historically accurate. I wanted to be accurate about everything I could find about the crew, everything I could find, everything I could about the story. So everything that is available, I found. I went to a museum in Scotland, for example. I was filming Outlander up there as a cast member, and I found a little maritime museum, and I found the last surviving piece of San Demetrio, which they've got in there. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Now I know we're starting to run out of time, but so just with that being said, for you both, what do you think we can learn from Unsinkable?
I think we can learn that courage can be effective. That the sacrifice that these men gave, all of them, not just on the ship, all 36,000 sailors, British sailors, civilians who died, did so and saved our country. And that's something that we should honor and we should remember and we should be prepared, if necessary, to do again.
I'll second that.
Well, it truly is a remarkable project. This isn't, and I say this with love, this isn't just another podcast. This is something that is truly engaging. And how, just to be clear, how can people find Unsinkable?
It's going to be released initially exclusively through Wondery Plus for they have a 90-day window. Before then, it's going to be released in a wide release after that. But the first 2 episodes will actually be available for everybody for free on YouTube.
And even if you look up, if you search for it on Apple or on Spotify, it'll take you through to the Wondery Plus site.
Right.
Oh, that's great. Well, I thank you so much for your time, and I really is a great project. So thank you. I appreciate it. I wish you the best.
That's really great to hear, Steve.
You.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.